Well, I thought I'd finally get around to making a video on the Vette Kart project, so here it is. I'll try and stick in pictures along the way of some of the build stuff. It started life as a 1984 C4 Corvette, and it lived its whole life in marinas, and so the paint was just gross, and the whole car was wet, and I really didn't feel bad at all about cutting it up into little tiny pieces. And so the first thing we did was just strip the car down to nothing. The front came off pretty easily. The back literally came off with a sawzall, a cutoff wheel, and a pry bar, and you just broke your way through. And I left all the wiring intact, and then this whole back section of the car just unbolts. And so that whole, you'll see in the end, the car lost 970 pounds and 3 feet. So everything on it, including the car, is either stuff I had laying around the shop or it came from OfferUp or Craigslist, and it was just something to do during quarantine. And I saw the Motor Trend guys had one. I thought I can build one of those. So started excavating that hateful crossfire injection, and once you got that off, underneath there is the beloved small block Chevy. There's how much of the front frame got cut off to make the bumper. And so pulled the motor out, pulled the trans out. The transmission had to get rebuilt, so it's still the stock 700 R4, but it's got a full manual valve body in it now, so you have to shift the car by hand. And right now the converter only locks in fourth. But the motor came out and got stripped down. Intake came off. It's now got just a single plane with a Holley 750 on it. There's what it looks like when it was still in the car. So it lost a bunch of the front accessories, and it lost power steering in the conversion, but I don't think that's a huge deal with how little the car weighs right now. So radiator, fan are all stock. The fan's just controlled by a switch on the dashboard now instead of buying any kind of regulator. And the power steering it's just looped back onto itself for now. Brakes are all stock, batteries are stock. Kept the little signature crossfire injection with the little fins. It's got one little door bar. I might eventually get around to finishing more of a roll cage, but it was going to make that car really, really hard to get in and out of. The first draft of the dashboard was just this little acrylic thing that held that center cluster of gauges, and I finally got around this winter to building another one out of acrylic, and it's got headlights that still work, it's got a GPS speedometer, it's got an O2 sensor, and your usual gauges of tach, oil pressure, volts, and water temperature. That's what that dash ended up looking like. And like I said, the seats came off of OfferUp. Both the harnesses they're expired from a drag car I had for a little while. And cage is all done in the back. It's got the seat bar, and then that all being welded in. And then the little tabs, the wing mounts too. Fuel cell is another OfferUp thing, and that goes to a Holley red pump, which you will hear loudly when we go for a drive, but that's just tucked in there, and it actually comes out of the fuel cell. It's filtered into the pump, and then it goes right into the factory hardline, and I just pick that up back at the front of the car again. Back is pretty stock, like you saw earlier. It got cut off. There's the cherry bomb that Summit Racing didn't like me calling Hello Sailor Red. You could see in the picture that section of the frame that held the fuel tank in the whole back of the car, and that just got unbolted. And then you'll see later a picture of the rear bumper just comes out on two little tube spurs that come back. I haven't rewired the whole car yet. That's on the project list, so it still has the stock fuse panel, and like you saw in the one still picture, all that hateful wiring is still tucked in behind that dash, but at least now I don't have to look at it. Someday I'll get around to putting the mirrors on a little better. I'll lose the wipers at some point. I'll lose everything connected to that, but for now it was just easiest to leave it in. There is a little trickery with some clamps to get the front bumper on. It's been a fun little project. It's a fun little car to drive, and the motoring public seems pretty thrilled with it. I still have the stock wheels for it. The ones that are on it now are off a C7, and there's obviously the rear bumper being made and tabs for the license plate. Just got one little slash cut tip. The exhaust comes off literally with like 5 bolts and then drops down if you want to. The current wheels are off a C7, and the backs had to get spaced out an inch to really work, or they were going to start to bump into stuff. But I say for now, let's hop in it and go for a ride.